Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Shuya drops by the office to give her a ride home. Her leg has healed significantly, so she gets into the car with him. On the way, they pass by Shin's shop and Shuya stops to watch her get into a car with someone else. He becomes jealous and starts following the car, leaving Yun confused. She asks, "What's going on? This isn't the way to my house," but he doesn't respond. When he suddenly stops at a red light, Yun is jolted, and her bracelet breaks. She anxiously apologizes, saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shy," then blurts out, "Let's get married." She's stunned and doesn't reply. Later that night, after dropping her off, Shuya tries to ease the tension by telling her to forget about his marriage proposal and to think of it as if he never said anything. He suggests they should take some time to get to know each other better first. She agrees and heads inside. The next day, Yun goes to her cousin's wedding, where her cousin insists she tries on a wedding dress and takes pictures of her wearing it. When Yun's cousin finds out that Yun's boyfriend proposed but she turned him down, she playfully takes Yun's phone and sends the pictures to Shuya, thinking he's her boyfriend. She adds a cheeky message, "Come on, marry me." Yun is horrified but can't get her phone back. Shuya sees the pictures and laughs, realizing Shuya must have proposed to her. After the photo shoot, Yun goes to grab some food at the supermarket. Her friend calls, warning her that the boss is on his way. Yun says she's on her way back but is surprised when her friend mentions that Shuya was supposed to be in a meeting with investors. She adds it seems like they were annoyed by him and kicked him out, but as she turns around, she finds Shuya standing right behind her. She's startled and tries to rush back to work, but he stops her and tells her to finish eating first. He then shows her the pictures her cousin sent, and she's utterly embarrassed. Shai asks, "Did Cho propose to you or what?" She's so flustered that she accidentally spits food at him. He's annoyed by her clumsiness and takes her shopping for a new outfit, but he makes her pay for it despite the high cost. She's about to explode with frustration and complains, "This outfit cost 2 months of my salary." How is that fair? She's on the verge of yelling at him, but when he looks at her, she pretends she was just raising her hand. Shuya enjoys teasing her, but he becomes upset and jealous when she accidentally mentions Cho. She tells him that Cho will join them on the company trip the next day. Annoyed, Shuya leaves without a word. That night, Yun learns how to make sushi from her colleagues. She prepares sushi for Cho to eat during the trip to the resort. However, the next morning, she's surprised to get a call informing her that Shuya ordered everyone to travel by bus, while non-employees like Cho would have to meet them at the resort. This was clearly Shaya's way of preventing her from getting too close to Cho. On the way there, Yun apologizes to Cho and tells him they'll meet at the resort. When she boards the bus, the only available seat is next to Shuya, which frustrates her. She reluctantly sits beside him and soon falls asleep on his shoulder. When she wakes up, she reaches for the sushi, only to find that Shuya has eaten all of it. She exclaims that sushi was mine, right? Shuya smugly replies yes, and it tasted terrible. He smirks as they arrive at the hotel. As they wait for their rooms, Shin shows up and pretends to be Shaya's girlfriend, shocking everyone. Later, everyone goes for a walk around the resort. Yun tries to take a picture with her 2 friends and Shin offers to take the photo while chatting with Yun. Shin jokes that she's the company's good luck charm and that her luck is what's making Shaya's company successful. Yun downplays it, saying it's nothing like that, but her friends insist nothing. They tell Shin about how Shuya was desperately looking for a manager to close a deal but had no idea what he looked like. Then, one day, Yun accidentally bumped into a car, and it turned out to be the manager Shuya was searching for. Thanks to that, Shuya closed the deal. Shin laughs and starts to like Yun even more. Yun's friends then talk about the chemistry between her and Shuya, which makes Yun nervous, especially since she thinks Shin is Shaya's girlfriend. She tries to leave, but when Shuya asks Sis, "When are you heading back?" everyone realizes that Shin is actually his sister. Yun is relieved and stays with the group. When they return to the hotel, Yun notices Cho. She approaches him, but Shuya and Shin follow closely behind. Cho sees them and is shocked. Yun quickly explains, "This is my boss and his sister." Cho remains stunned, and they all pretend not to know each other. That night, they all have dinner together, with Cho and Shin clearly uncomfortable. Yun tries to serve Cho some food, but Shuya rudely dismisses her. She looks at him and asks, "Did I upset you in some way?" He remains silent and doesn't respond. After they finish, they play a game of truth or dare. Yun feels embarrassed when she has to admit she spent the night at a man's place and it wasn't Cho. She tries to leave, but her two colleagues, Yiji and Iwi, intervene and help her get ready for Cho. They dress her in a beautiful dress and offer relationship advice. By coincidence, Shuya appears as he supports his sister. He's surprised and impressed by Yun's appearance. However, when Yun asks him about her makeup, he bluntly says, "It looks terrible," and then goes inside. Yun is disheartened and decides to remove her makeup. When Cho enters, he finds her in her regular pajamas and tells her she looks beautiful anyway, but nothing happens between them. Later that night, Yun takes a walk and sees Cho. He decides to accompany her. Shuya sees them and asks Yun, "Where are you going so late?" She replies, "It's none of your business," and walks away. Shuya follows her, and they come across Cho and Yun together. Yun explains to Cho that her son's leg is broken and he's in the hospital. Cho offers to take her there, and Shuya says he'll go too since he has important work to do. Yun is even more puzzled. At the hospital, Yun finds her son crying and in pain. The doctor is Shaya's mother, and when she sees Shin, she is upset. She tells Yun that her son needs surgery, which she performs. After the surgery, she speaks to Shin and Cho, saying, "I saved your son because that's my job, but I can't approve of a relationship between him and my son." She then leaves. The next day, Iwi and Yiji ask Yun if she managed to get closer to Cho. She tells them no, as he had to return to the city. They are surprised and take her to join Shaya and the team for a self-defense training session. They arrive at the training facility, put on training clothes, and have a great time. Afterward, Yun goes out with her friends to buy a gift for Cho. While shopping, a staff member tells them about a nearby temple that grants wishes. Excited, they visit the temple. Yun writes her wish on a ribbon, hoping for a relationship with Cho to continue. She struggles to hang it, but eventually asks for help. When Shuya sees her wish, he takes the ribbon and throws it away, then leaves. Yun follows him, asking why, but he doesn't answer and takes them back on the bus. On the bus, Yun falls asleep from exhaustion, and Shuya makes a romantic gesture by leaning his shoulder against her. He gazes at her dreamily throughout the journey. At the hospital, Cho's son wakes up, and while Shaya's mother is changing his bandages, she asks him about his father. Cho says he doesn't know his father and has never seen him. Shuya arrives to visit Cho's son and is asked if he loves Yun or his sister Shin. He doesn't answer and says he plans to marry Yun soon. Shaya's sister calls him, saying her son is ill and asking him to come quickly. He rushes there with Shuya. The doctor informs them that the child has a fever, which is normal after surgery, and advises them to stay the night. Shuya wants to stay, but she refuses, saying it's her responsibility to care for her son. Back at the hotel, Yun keeps sending messages to Cho and trying to call him, but he doesn't respond at all. When she reaches the office and learns from Ayan that Shin is at the hospital, she thinks she's the cause, as Shuya saved her during their training. She quickly heads to the hospital, and upon finding out that Cho is visiting Shin's son, hands over his laptop and tells him to return to work. She leaves and on her way coincidentally spots Shuya, stops a taxi, and gets out to approach him. She tells him that she tried calling him multiple times to check on him. He makes an excuse, saying he was busy, and apologizes to her. He then takes her to a restaurant for a meal. While drinking, he seems lost in thought and depressed. Yun notices this and realizes something is bothering him, but she doesn't ask. On another day, Yun tells her secretary Leon that she's going to a game development conference with Shuya. Leon is thrilled and they attend together. Several people at the conference are impressed with Yun and try to approach her, but she politely declines with Shuya by her side. She finds out that a famous game developer she admires won't be attending the conference, which makes her very sad. Shuya notices and takes her to meet the developer in person, making her extremely happy. She takes a photo with him, and then Shuya takes her out for dinner, making her day even better. After the meal, he drops her off at her place. Meanwhile, Shaya's mother talks to Cho, expressing her disapproval of Shin because she was previously married and has a child, while Cho has never been married. She insists she can't support them getting back together, which deeply saddens Cho, though he doesn't fully agree with her. Frustrated, he leaves angrily and heads to the hospital, where he sees Shin entering. It becomes clear that Cho genuinely loves her but is unsure of what to do. Cho decides to act on his feelings. The next day, he visits Yun and asks her to come with him to try on a wedding dress. She agrees, and when she tries on a dress, it looks stunning on her. Cho forgets his phone on the table while he's busy, and it rings. Yun answers, and it's Shuya. Shuya angrily tells Cho to stay away from his sister because Shin lost consciousness at the hotel, and if he tries to get close to her again, he'll make him regret it. He then hangs up, Yoon is shocked to discover that Shin was Cho's ex-girlfriend, and it makes her very sad. Cho learns that Shin lost consciousness, which worries him greatly, so he rushes to see her. Yoon follows him and sees him.